Hello everyone, welcome you all. In our previous video, we have seen how we can read the data from the formula cell. So similarly, sometimes we can also create and we can also write formula cell in the Excel sheet. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how we can create and write the formula cell in the Excel sheet. Now let's go to our Eclipse. Now here I'm going to create a new Excel sheet, and inside the Excel sheet I will write a few number of cells, and then I'll apply some formula on that particular cell. Now I already have project Apache POI, and inside this I have Excel operations package. Now inside this I'm going to create a new class. So inside this class I will just give some name called write formula cell 1, and let's take a main method and say finish. All right, so once we created a class, now what I want to do is I want to create a new Excel file which contains one sheet, and also I will write a few number of cells, and then I'll also do some calculation. So I will apply the formula on that particular sheet and particular cell. Now we'll see step by step one. So what I can do is first I'll create a new Excel file, Excel workbook, empty workbook. Then I'll create an empty sheet. Then I'll write some number of cells along with the formula cell. So here I'm going to start with creation of the new workbook. I'll say XSSF workbook and create a variable called workbook equal to, I'll say new XSSF workbook. So now I just created one empty workbook. So which will create a new empty workbook, import this package. So this is an empty workbook which is created. So in this workbook, I want to create a new sheet. So workbook object dot, there is a method called create sheet. I say dot create uh, create sheet. So this particular method will create a new sheet in this particular workbook. So I'll give some number to this. I'll give some name to the sheet. Let's say numbers. Okay. And then semicolon. So now we have created a new sheet. So I want to refer that sheet with some variable. I'll create one sheet variable, and the type of the variable is XSSF sheet. So now I created one workbook, and inside the workbook I created one sheet, and I refer that sheet by using this variable. Now in the sheet I want to create one row. How to create a row? So I'll say this is a completely new sheet, so we have to create everything. So in the sheet dot, I'll create one row by using create row method. Okay, create row, and I can give some number. So which row you want to create? I want to create one row, so I'll say start from 0. So this will create a new row. So once you created a new row, I'll refer that row object by using a variable called row, and the type of this variable is XSSF row. Okay, now import this. So now I created a row object. So now in Excel we have a workbook, empty workbook. Inside this workbook we created one new sheet. Inside the sheet we created one row. So currently I have one row created in my sheet. Let's say this is my one row, empty row. So inside this row I want to create uh, multiple cells. Let's say I want to create, let's say 3 cells. Let's say first cell is cell 1, number 1, cell 2 and cell 3. And once I set the data in these 3 cells, I'll perform some operation on these values, and the result I will put in the last cell. So in this particular cell, I'll apply the formula. Okay, so normal, these 3 cells are C1, C2, C3. These are the normal cells I'll create. I'll update some number data. Now I'll do some operation on these values by using a formula. Then I'll update the last cell. Okay, this is a formula cell. Last cell is a formula cell. Everything is a new creation. Now we'll see how we can do that. So the first thing is I just create first cell in this particular row. So let us take the row object dot create cell. Which cell you want to create? First cell 0. And inside this I'll set some value. I'll say set cell value. Set cell value. This is a method I'm using. Dot. So create cell of 0, which will create a new cell. And once you create a cell of 0, then inside this I'll update one value. I'll say set cell value. So this is a method I can use. And which value you want to set? I'll say some number. Let's say 100. Similarly, I'll create multiple cells, and first zero cell and first cell and a second cell. So now three cells I created. In the second cell I'll say 200, third cell I'll say 300. So three cells I have created. So 100, 200 and 300. Okay, now once you created these three cells, then what I can do is I'll create one more cell, and inside the cell I want to get the multiplication. Let's I want to multiply 100 into 200 into 300, something like this. Or I can just take a smaller number. So 10 into 200 into 3, 100, 10 into 20 into 30. So the result I will update in the next cell, and that is what I can do using formula. So for that I can do is, now I'm going to create a formula cell. So these are the normal cells. I updated some data in the cells. So that means we have a row. Inside the row, three cells I have filled with some data now. So here I put 10 and here I put 20, here I put 30. Because this is zero row and this is zero cell, first cell, second cell. Okay. Now in the third cell, I will apply the formula here. So here what I want to do is I want to get the data like 100 into 200 into 10 into 20 into 30. So the result I want to display here through formula. Okay. So for that what I can do is I already created three cells and I updated 10, 20, 30. Now I want to create a formula cell. So for that what I can do is in the same row, I'll create another cell. Let's say cell number 3, and this is a, in this particular cell I want to write a formula. Okay, I need to set a formula. So instead of value I need to set a formula. So for that I can use one method called dot set cell formula. This is a method, and which formula we have to set in this cell. I want to multiply three values 10, 20, 30. So simply I can say 10, 20, 30, we need to find out the exact in which location those values are there. So in Excel sheet, normally this is a zero row, right? So the column names normally we will mention like A, this is my A, first column, and the second column is B, third column is a C, and row number will again start with 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Right. So as per Excel, the row number is 1 here. Okay. As per our index, we are starting from 0 when I creating the cells, but as per Excel, this is a line number 1. So how we can refer this value A1. So column name and row number. So how we can refer this 20 B1, and how we can refer the 30 C1. Okay, A1, B1 and C1. Then I can multiply all three values. So here I'll apply one formula. Let's say in the double quotations I can write A1 multiply B1 multiply by C1. So A1 plus B1 plus, or you can apply also some like A1 plus B1 plus C1 you can do, or you can apply multiplication, whatever operation you want to do, arithmetic operation you can do that. So now A1 is 10, B1 is 20 and C1 is a 30. I'm multiplying all three values. And where you want to keep this value? I want to keep this value inside the cell number 3. So this is how we can create a formula cell. So after creation of the formula cell, where exactly we created in the third cell. So we have created a empty workbook, empty sheet, and then we have created a row. In that row, I created three different cells which contains the values. Now in the fourth cell, I set a formula. Okay. Now we need to write this workbook into a file system finally. So workbook dot, we use one method called write, right? So write we have to use, but before that we are going to write the data into the file. So we need to open the file, we need to use file output stream. So we need to create a file output stream. So through the file output stream we can update the data in the file system. So let me just create a path. So we don't have any Excel file so far, so we have to create a new file, new Excel file, and this workbook I have to write in that particular Excel file. So till now what we have done is we have just created workbook, empty sheet, empty row, and inside the row we updated three cells and apply one formula. So now this workbook is we just created. Now if you want to write everything into the file, first we need to create file output stream. So I say file output stream. Okay, file output stream, and I'll say FOI is equal to new file output stream. Okay, new file output stream. Okay, and then this will create a stream. And once you created a stream, so we need to specify the location of the file here. So we have to create our own file. So this will automatically create a file whichever the location we specified. Okay, so for now what I can do is here I will just specify the location where exactly I want to create my Excel file. So in my project, so I have a folder called data files, and inside the file itself I want to create a new file. So I'll give some path here, dot slash slash representing our current project directory, and inside the data files folder, slash slash I'll give some name to the Excel. So I'll simply say cal dot xlsx. Okay, this is the name of the Excel, and then semicolon. So add this exception file output stream. Okay, so now we have created a stream object for this particular file, which will automatically create at the runtime. So currently this file is not available because this is a completely new file. Now we need to write this workbook into this file. So for that, take the workbook dot write into this stream. Okay, and after that we can close stream, we can close file output stream, and then we can just write some confirmation message. Okay, we can write some confirmation message like formula, or we can say what's the name of the Excel, calc.xlsx created. Okay, created with the formula cell. So just for confirmation message. So this will throw some exception, just add them, right? So this is how we need to write. So we have just created one empty workbook, empty sheet, and inside the sheet we created one row. Inside the row we created 3 cells, 10, 20, 30. Now I have multiplied all 3 cells and put the data in the third cell. In the third cell is a set cell formula. So here I'm multiplying A1 plus B1 plus C1, and the result will be updated in this particular cell. Now after that, I'm just opening file output stream and specify the location where you want to create a file. Then I'll write this workbook into the file by using workbook.write method, and finally I'm closing the method of closing the file output stream. And this is a confirmation message. Now let us try to execute and see how it is going to work. So I don't have that Excel file which will automatically create under data files. Right click, run as Java application. So now we got the message cal.xlsx created with formula cell. Now let's refresh the folder. Now you can see cal.xls. Now let us open the file. And once you open the file, now we can see the data here. So 10, 20, 30 we have written. This is a formula cell. You can just put the cursor there. You can see this is a formula which is applied A1 into B1 into C1. So this is how we can also create a formula cell through our Java program using Apache POI. Okay. Now this is a one way. So suppose here we are just created a new Excel sheet and we have written our own cells and we have applied formula on the cell. Sometimes we will already have some Excel file. Okay. Then there is some data is available, but still I want to apply some formula cell. I want to apply some formula on that particular cell. So for example, let me show you one Excel file. Just a moment. Let me open. I have one small Excel file. Let us say books.xls. Now you can just look at this sheet. I have some serial numbers 1 to 5 and the name of the books and price of the books. So if I just look at this Excel, okay, so I don't have a total here. So this is an empty cell, nothing is there. And even formula is also not applied here. So through my Java program, what I want to do is I want to find sum of the prices and total price I want to display here. So I want to calculate the total price through formula, and then I'll put that value here. Okay. So this data is already existed. Only thing is we need to apply the formula on this particular cell, and we don't need to read all this data. Okay. So just we need to get this data and apply the formula here. So if you still want to apply the formula, like manually, if I want to apply the formula, how we will apply here is, let me just show you. Let me just take a small note. How to write the formula in this particular cell? Normally, manually, if I want to write, I can write like this. So I need to find the sum of all the prices. So first price 100.5, where exactly it is? In the C column, C column and the second row. Okay. So from C to, okay, I can apply one method called sum method, which is Excel function. So sum of from C2 to and the C column sixth row. So that means C6. So I say C6. So this particular formula, if I apply on the particular cell, which will calculate the sum of prices. So the same formula I will apply through my Java code. Okay. Now here I don't apply any formula on this cell. So this is a completely empty cell. Now I'll apply the formula on this particular cell through my Java program. Okay. Now we'll see how we can do that. So before that, let's have that file, Excel file, inside my data files. Now I kept my file here. So this is my, I don't have anything in the cell. Now the same formula, what I have told you now, I'll apply the formula. Okay, just a moment. Okay, so I'll apply the formula. Now go back to the Excel. Now I'm going to create a new class. So this time we need to use both file input stream and file output stream. So first we need to get the data from the sheet and a particular column. So let me create one more class. Okay, I'll name it as write formula cell 2. Take the main method and say finish. All right, so inside this, what we have to do is we already have the books.xls file. So now we need to open the file by using file input stream. So first let us create one path variable. Now inside the path variable, string path equal to, I can define the location where exactly this file is present, and dot slash slash, which is representing our current project location. And then my folder name is data files. Inside the data files, my file name is books.xlsx. Okay, now I got the location or path. Now we know we should open this file in the file input stream because we are going to read the data. So let's create file input stream. Let's create file input stream FIS, okay, equal to new file input stream. Okay, when I create a file input stream, we have to specify the location of the Excel file. Now import this file input stream from java.io, and this will throw some exception. Okay, so now I created the path and open the file input stream FIS. Now we have to get the workbook and sheet by using this file input stream. So how to get it? So let me just create a workbook object XSSF workbook, and I say workbook equal to workbook reference variable equal to new XSSF workbook. So from where we have to get this workbook? From this EFIS. This is representing the file now. So from that file, I'm extracted the workbook. Done. So now import this class also. Now import this, add this exception. Now we got the workbook from the file. So inside the workbook, we have a sheet. So we have to get the sheet. So I'll say workbook dot get sheet, and we can pass the sheet number. I'll say 0. Now this will return the sheet. So I'll refer the sheet by using a variable called sheet. Now the type of this sheet variable is XSSF sheet. Okay, now I got the variable. Now import this class. Okay, so when I say get sheet, we have to specify the name of the sheet, guys. Okay, suppose if you still want to get the sheet by using index, you can use get sheet at method. So this method will get the sheet. If I use get sheet at, then we have to pass index, or still if you want to pass the name of the sheet, you can still use get sheet. That's it. Okay, so now we got the sheet here. Now from this sheet, we don't need to read all the data. Okay, so only thing what we can do is in the particular cell, I'll apply the formula on this particular cell, nothing. So we don't need to read anything from here because already the data is already there. Just we need to apply the formula on this cell, then we will get the total sum. Okay, that's the only thing we have to do. Now we have already captured the address of this cell, right? What is the address of the cell? The address of the cell is C is my colon and 8. This is a C8. So how to write the formula here is C8. Okay, C8. This is actual cell where we need to update the result, C8 column. Okay, and what is the what are the values we need to consider? So from C2 to C6, C2 to C6, these are the range we have to consider, and once you find the sum, we have to update that value in the C8, in the C8. Okay, so let's go back to the Eclipse. Now I'm writing that. So we already have the rows. Okay, which row we have to capture now? From the Excel, which row we have to capture? This particular row we have to capture. Okay, so if I start from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th row. So here I'll write one statement. So from the sheet, get row of, from the sheet, get row. Which row we need to get? 7th row we have to get. Okay, and dot, which cell you want to get cell. Which cell you want to get, in which cell we want to update the value here? In the 7th row, 0, 1 and 3. In the third cell I want to update the value. So here I'll say 3. Third cell I want to update the value. And 7th row, get cell of 3. It is not exactly 3. So as per the Excel, this is 1 and this is 0, 1 and 2. Okay, so this is a 2. The column number is 2. So we say 2 here. So 7th row and the second column. Here we want to apply the formula. So here I'll say one method called set cell formula. Set cell formula. Okay, same method we used in the previous example. Set cell formula. And which formula we have to update here? Which formula you have to update? The formula is same again. Sum of C2 colon C6. Sum of C2 colon C6. That's it. So from the second row, in the 7th row, second cell or second column, we are updating this formula. So this particular formula will automatically get the data from C2 to C6 range, will perform the sum, and the result will be updated on the particular cell. So after applying this formula, we have to close this input stream. Because why we need to close this input stream? Still we haven't updated this value in the workbook. So before that, let me close the stream. Right, so we have just done this everything in the workbook. So we open the sheet from the workbook, we have just updated the cell, but we have done this only in the workbook. That is not part of the file. So if you want to write this workbook into the file system, then we have to open the file output stream again. So file output stream FOS equal to new file output stream, new file output stream. Okay, new file output stream we created. Sorry, so new file output stream. Okay, now here we have to specify the location of the Excel. In which Excel we want to write the workbook, we have to specify the path, the same Excel file path. Now import this file output stream, and then we have to write this workbook into this FOS now. So how we can write it? So to write it, take the workbook dot write, and here we have to specify the file system FOS. Okay, that's it. So after that, after writing, then we have to close my workbook. I say workbook dot close. Okay, so we should not close workbook here, because we have just get the workbook, get the sheet, and just written some value in that. So we have just updated the formula cell, but which is not part of the file still. So that's the reason we should not close the workbook here. After opening the file output stream, then we have to write the workbook into the file system, then we have to close the workbook. And after that also we can close the file output stream FOS.close. Okay, and after that I'll just write some confirmation message, done. Okay, over. So this is how we can just apply the formula on the cell if the data is already existed in the Excel file. So now if I just look at here, so this much data I have in the total cell is completely empty. So I'm just calculating sum of all the values, and the total price should be displayed here, and the formula is applied in this particular cell. Okay, now let me close this Excel for now and then execute. So where Excel we have now in our current data files folder, books.xls file we have. So let's execute, right click, run as Java application. Okay, now it is done. So once it is done, you can just refresh the folder once again. Now let us open the books.xls. Okay, so once you updated, you can just see by default it is saying 0. When you put the cursor here, when you place the cursor here, just double click. Now you can see the formula is already applied, equal to sum of C2 colon C6. So once you press enter, automatically this will automatically calculate it and display the value here. So what we have done through program is we just apply the formula on this particular cell, and from now onwards whatever data you are changing here, that will automatically calculated and result will be displayed here. Okay, so this is how we can update the existing cell with the formula through our Apache POI. Okay, so that is all about how we can create or write formula cell in the Excel sheet.